It's bad. Anime.
I'm recording.
And I'm John. And this is...
I wasn't ready for that.
Sorry. That's my father joke for the day. I'm John, everybody.
And I'm recording.
And this is Bad Anime, the podcast where we decide, is this anime bad? We skipped the intro in the Quints season 2, so I figured we'd bring it back for the movie. This is the part 3. I know. This is the part 3 for the series.
For the third time, we're talking about the quintessential quintuplets.
Wow.
Generally speaking, we really like season 1 and 2. Or more like now, we were both really high on it originally, and then after season 2, you're like, okay, some great stuff here, but, starting to drag a little bit.
Yeah, right.
And speaking of dragging, this entire fucking film.
The movie was so long. Why was it, so long?
It was like 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Why did they need that much time? I was like, that's half a season of quintessential quintuplets.
And that's exactly the point I wanted to touch on.
Oh my God.
I have to give this movie an award for being the least cinematic experience I've ever had watching a film. Because this did not feel like a movie.
It did not.
This felt like if someone did a legit abridged version, not the comedy YouTube fad from the early 2000s. I mean, actually took the third season of Quintessential Quintuplets and cut out all the stuff that didn't matter.
Yes. That's what this sounded like. Except for there were really also things that didn't matter.
There were, of course, you can't cut out everything that didn't matter because, let's face it.
I will say, though, the idea to turn this series into a movie, I would have never thought about it. I would have never thought, like, hey, this is going to be a big deal. This is going to gross a lot of money. But I do have some facts with me, some cold, hard facts about the grossing of this movie. I think I might know some of these, but
throw them at me. I'm curious to see what you found.
So, the Quintessential Quintuplets movie grossed $17.1 million in Japan alone.
Yes.
And $1.32 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $18.4 million. The film is the 7th highest grossing anime film and the 20th overall highest grossing film, period, in 2022 in Japan.
Yes.
Pretty good numbers for a movie that was basically season 3 of a show.
And the manga for this was phenomenally popular. I think it outsold One Piece in a month. So
wow. It outsold One Piece? The Quints? Damn.
Yeah, it was either a weekly chart or a monthly chart. I forget which one it was, but
wow.
Right for the finale, it's outsold One Piece for that short time frame.
But I think, honestly, when we were watching the first season, when we finished the first season together, and you said, well, there's another season and there's going to be a movie, I immediately said to myself, I really don't want to have to watch all of the second season. I wish I could just skip to the movie. But then we wanted to do it for the podcast, so I had to have the context. And it's good to have the context, right, of the second season.
Right.
But originally I was like, man, just tell me who it is. Like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to sit through. I liked it, and I don't want to sit through more. Like, just tell me who it is. And
which is exactly why I read ahead.
And you have known for the past year and change.
Almost
2 years. Who it's been. I have not. I kept it close to the chest. I was like, let me watch this movie, figure it out on my own time, and then I figured it out on the same airplane that I figured out the end of season 2 on as well. But it has also a few more stats for you, just to throw them out there.
Sure.
92% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Why?
Average score of 7.6 out of 10 based on 12 reviews.
Okay.
The Japanese review and survey firm Film Marks, that's a really funny name if you're a wrestling fan.
I think that's amazing. I can't believe that's not more well known.
They placed the Quintessential Quintuplets movie first in their first day satisfaction rating with an average rating of 4.15 out of 5 based on 520 reviews. Generally very positive reviews around the board for the Quints movie.
Generally, yes.
Yes.
Jesus.
Now, here comes the big question, though. What did you think?
Well, like I said, this whole thing honestly confused me because there seemed to be no attempt to make this a more cinematic, self-contained experience.
Yes.
It really just felt like an abridged version of what should have been season 3.
Yes.
And it read just like the manga would have.
Mm-hmm.
This happens, this happens, this happens. We have our next big festival bit.
Right.
They didn't really make an attempt to kind of quicken the pace a little bit.
They didn't. If anything, they slowed down the pace, I think, from the previous season. And I thought the pace was rather
last
slow.
20 minutes, like a half hour or more.
God.
Because after we realized, oh my God, he's picking Yotsuba. Her like half hour of her going, but it shouldn't be me. I'm like, this does not need to be in this fucking film.
It does not. It does not. I fully
One scene would have sufficed.
One scene.
Then
I fully expected the end.
So much nonsense.
They did include a lot of nonsense. This was very fluffed. It was very, very fluffed. In the beginning, too, they were like, all right, well, the very beginning of the movie, we'll get to our opinions on the Yotsuba pick because I'm genuinely very interested to hear your opinion on that.
Okay.
The very beginning of this movie essentially sets the tone that, all right, we know, guys, we know that all of you Quints want to bone this guy. We all know that this guy wants to bone one of the Quints, wants to fall in love with one of the Quints. Right. We all know. Everybody's out here. All the Quints know it. Futaro knows it. And by this movie, he is like, I gotta just make my pick, guys. I gotta make a decision. And it escalated.
Balls on him for actually trying to make a pick instead of doing the sleazy, like, hey, there's enough of me to go around. Because if he was Hisei Fyodo from High School DxD, that's exactly what would have happened.
Or, God forbid, if he was Makoto Ito from School Days, we would have had some troubles. We would have had some big old quintessential problems in this movie. But he decides to pick.
Here's like, I would have cried laughing if we went a School Days route in this because it would have been so out of left field. School Days, it actually made sense when you fucking really rewatch the thing and kind of analyze it. This would have
been like an absolute tonal uproar if somebody at the end just said, you know what, let's just kill him. Let's stab him. He had his way with us. How dare he? He's not even a good teacher. Let's kill him.
We'll teach you how to die.
Yeah. Wow, he's really good at it. Look at him go.
Wow, 5 stars.
5 stars.
But fucking Futaro here. Wow. By the way, I just finished this thing. We as of right now, it's 2:20 p.m. on the day we're recording this episode.
Yes.
I finished this film at 1:30, and I'm still kind of gathering my thoughts because like I was paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Was dozing off a little bit, but I was paying attention.
Sure.
I mean, the pancake versus okonomiyaki war in the first half of the movie. I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you for including this episode of the anime in your film.
I really thank you guys for making a filler arc in a movie. In a movie. Movies are not filler arcs. Movies are to get to the point. Do the thing. Make the big decision. Do that. Like,
yes.
I can't. They dedicated so much random time because you know why? I knew this shit was going to happen because at the beginning of the movie, first of all, I opened it up and it was like 2 hours, 10 minutes. And I was like, how are they going to do this? And then within the first 10 minutes, Futaro assembles all the girls in a room and a classroom. And he's like, so the big festival's coming up, huh? And they're like, yeah, Futaro, it is. And he's like, well, at the end of the festival, by the festival's end, I will make my decision of who I'm going to love for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh my God, he's actually going to do it. And he's like, yeah. By the way, the festival is 3 days. Oh God, 3 days.
And right there, they get all the ability in the world to fluff this fucking film out.
I wanted to fast forward to like 48 minutes in. I was like, let me just get there because I know the beginning was just a whole bunch of back and forth. There was a lot of, as you texted me, there was a lot of like random siblings just kissing Futaro and just giving him like a little sample of what it would be like,
Yeah, he was just macking on all of them.
He was.
And I was like, the fuck?
What is this? I guess a little fan servicey, maybe a little to give some people.
This was the most fan servicey the series ever got. Because in the very intro, we got a couple of the most risque shots we've ever seen with the girls in swimsuits, and they really highlighted the booblies for the first time.
Yes, they did. Mm-hmm.
Which I get it wanting to reward your fans here, but that's a little gross.
I mean, I just wish there was a joke in there that was like quintuple D's. That would have been a great joke. That would have been great. They missed the mark on that one. But right.
Yeah, they drifted a little too much into the sexuality for like the intro of the show, and I'm like, guys, You're not DxD. Stop
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Like we're not here for that.
For
like
that,
we're here to
you know.
see the emotional journey of a guy named Futaro Uyatsugi.
And 5 girls who all look the same.
Yes.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. And
Fucking God. Because, like, here's
yeah.
the thing, right? Look, let's go back to this fucking pancake thing, because it pisses me off, right?
pancake okonomiyaki war between boys and girls.
Because the whole thing did serve a point. It was to... Because now, for the first time, we got a lot of insight into the Quinn's mom, which was great, I thought, in theory. But the whole point of it was being like, hey... She used to make us these pancakes, and you want to see Miku, getting a lot farther in cooking,
Of course.
And you want to see her getting better. So she's making a simple dish that meant a lot to her family.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, and so one of the emotional climaxes with the girl's father also involves these pancakes. So it makes sense to include him in the film like this in a prominent role. You did not need the Civil War mini arc with the boys in there. It was
weird.
completely pointless.
I think the only thing that maybe did was because Miku throughout the entire show is severely lacking confidence. So
Yes.
I think maybe it was a good time to be like, okay, like Miku's taking charge and like she's growing and she's turning into like an adult who can actually put her foot down and like, I think that's like, if anything, what we got from it. But I mean, it didn't have to be that long.
Exactly. You could have had one scene of the boys at the okonomiyaki stand going, well, darn. Or is it takoyaki?
Oh,
Yeah,
takoyaki. Yes. That's right.
Okonomiyaki is actually just the savory pancake.
Yes.
I got them confused because I originally thought that's what they were going for, and then I saw the takoyaki. I'm like, oh no, it's not pancakes.
It's the
versus
octopus
okonomiyaki.
balls, right?
Yeah,
The takoyaki.
fucking weird. But
I don't like them either. I've tried them a lot of times, and it just tastes like a ball of mayo. I just never really enjoyed them. I like a lot of Japanese food. It's just like that's the one thing I just never. I even like octopus. I'll eat octopus. I love grilled octopus. Like I'll eat that.
Grilled octopus is really good. Yeah, no,
Delicious.
Takoyaki is just fine. It is the epitome of fine. I'm
Strange.
not a big fan of okonomiyaki at all.
Yeah, I just
Because
I
the
never
sauce
liked
is a
it.
little weird, and it's
Yeah.
drenched in mayo too. I'm like, this is so
It's
saucy.
too much mayo. I'm like, why is there all this mayo? I feel like I'm eating a Whopper at Burger King or something. I'm like, all this mayo everywhere.
Japanese Burger King slaps though.
Oh, it does. It's so good. Oh my god, it's delicious. Japanese McDonald's. I had some Thailand McDonald's on my trip.
Really?
So good. So
Really?
delicious.
It's so fucking
Oh,
funny.
it's so amazing. And there's a Ronald McDonald making prayer hands out of every single McDonald's in Thailand
Oh,
or in
that's
Bangkok at least.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
I took some photos next to him. It was great. I really like that.
Oh, that's incredible. I love comparing McDonald's from across the world.
Really, really fun.
I remember the Dutch McDonald's being okay.
Yeah, it was fine. Dutch McDonald's was all right. It
was McDonald's.
I've had better McDonald's. Yeah.
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 Fucking McDonald's. Love it. I had it before we started recording today.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I was craving it. I got home
Oh my
just
God.
yesterday from like flying for so long, and I've just been eating like a whole lot of Asian food, which is delicious. But like I was like at one point I was like I got to eat something Western. Like I need to eat something Western. And then I got home and I was like, okay, what's the most Western thing I could possibly have? It's the 4th of July at the day of recording. So I was
Which
like,
is so funny.
let's be a real American. Let's eat some McDonald's. And then I
There
ate
you
it.
go.
And then I sang, I am a real American.
American.
Double quarter pounder in my throat. It was good.
Hot.
Yeah, it's good.
With cheese?
With cheese. Of course, with cheese. You can't.
cheese.
With cheese. Oh, yeah. This movie. So,
Feed me daddy. What?
I'll feed you, Daddy. Here's the next thing that I think I
also,
wanted to bring up.
fucking, we learned that we met the fucking Quinn's biological father in this.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
How could you forget it? It was so stupid.
He just showed up and they were like, yeah, fuck you, Dad. And he was like, geez, I'm sorry.
Well, to be fair, he was a complete douche.
Yeah, of course he was.
He knocked up his student,
Yeah. Had
married her.
quintuplets.
and then once he realized she was having quintuplets, he did the bye-bye as the Looney Tunes theme played as he ran away.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the movie, but that was my headcanon.
I know. It feels right. It feels good. And we did get that backstory, which I was like, I'm glad we got this, but I didn't need it, but I'm glad we got it, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really need it.
Again, here's one of the things. It was cool to know, but it just felt like a scrap from the manga, and it felt like a condensed episode of season 3.
Yeah, it did.
So it was cool, but they gave other things that were way dumber a lot more focus.
Mm-hmm. They did.
So this film was also a mess in terms of what elements they wanted to pick and adapt and make, and scenes they wanted to put in the movie.
It was kind of a mess. They were just like, let's just like answer all of these questions that nobody really had.
Exactly.
Let's just put everything out there, and like it's fine. Like I part of me, as the plot guy, right? I do like to see. I do like to know everything. I'm like, oh, I like this backstory. Like it's good to know like their mom. They didn't really have to like show the dad, but they could have just been like, yeah, our dad abandoned us, so this is our stepfather, and he's been taking care of us. I'm like, that's enough for me. You didn't really need to.
Yeah, and
really need to do that.
You could have thrown in like the thing of like because it's relevant, where like he was her teacher, like their biological father was their mother's teacher. With their relationship with Futaro, it's a relevant enough point where they could have mentioned it. But again, focusing on it the way they did, but they didn't give it enough time. It was cool to see Itsuki, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool to see Itsuki get a little mad, get a little fire under her, actually, like, show her personality.
Right.
And you just see her love of really trying to be a better student so she become a teacher. That was cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. There was some growth.
How'd you feel about all the Yotsuba flashback scenes?
Which flashback scenes?
Right after Futaro was like, "I want you," and she's like, "No," and runs away, and then has all these flashbacks to her trying to be a better student, and then failing, and then going into athletics, and realizing that might be her path, and then meeting Futaro again, and being like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Fine. I don't know.
I liked them, but again, I'm like, movie, focus on something. This feels like it should have been way more important than it was.
I just pictured you like holding a DVD box of this, just shaking it and be like, "Focus, movie."
I was yelling at my laptop, basically while saying that.
Like, be a movie. Focus on the thing.
It just didn't fucking focus on any of the important shit. It didn't focus on anything. And then like, again, some of it was adorable, like, the first real date between Futaro and Yotsuba, and the sisters are in the background judging him.
Yes.
It reminds me of a great scene you haven't seen yet in High School DxD season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you a little teaser for that right now if you like.
Glorious. I would love it.
Issei and fuck. My favorite character.
It starts with an A, right? No, it's close. Oh god. Akano, yes.
Yeah, him and Akano go on a very cute date, and the rest of the girls just spy on them, and it's very reminiscent of this scene here where
that's good.
Fucking Futaro takes out Yotsuba to a restaurant, and the girls are just judging him like, a family restaurant? What the fuck?
What the fuck is this? Yeah.
And it's like, he's paying with coupons? I'm like, if you cut out a lot of the bullshit in the beginning of the movie and focused on this, I might have cared.
It would be funny. It would be really funny. And okay. I also want to, get to the elephant in the room with the green headband. What did you think of the Yotsuba pick? Yeah, like what went through your mind when he picked Yotsuba at the time that he picked Yotsuba? And I know you've known this for a few years, but when you read it in the manga maybe your first time, what was your reaction?
I wasn't surprised at all.
Really?
Yeah, because fucking once I knew that Yotsuba was the first girl he met, I knew it was going to be her.
Really?
It's just so trite, and it's such an overused thing. I knew that's what it was going to be. Like, and whoever wrote this thought it'd be very cute to present the idea of everlasting love. So I kind of get the angle they were going to go for. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't surprised at all. I was a little disappointed because it'd be so much cooler if they said like, "Hey, For example, like, Nino, you really pushed me, or Miku, you really helped me find another side of myself. Fucking Itsuki, I can even see. Ichika's the only one I can see him not going for, because it kind of presented her as the most heelish.
Yeah,
as
like
she could be.
the most villainous out of the Quints.
Was not, which is still isn't a lot, but still.
No.
Any one of them would have made sense other than her. Yotsuba, again, I saw it coming a mile away. I'm like, okay, show, I know what you're doing here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So what about you? You've been wanting to get to this point for a while now.
Yeah. Well, I didn't expect it.
Okay.
Maybe because that trope is not one that I'm as familiar with, of like
right.
meeting the person when you're younger, and then because I figured, because I was like, well, like I knew one thing. I knew one thing. Well, two things. I knew who it wasn't going to be. And it wasn't going to be Ichika, as you said, and it was not going to be Nino, unfortunately. Even though I think he should have picked Nino. But
I think you and I just like Nino.
I do like Nino. But, well, Nino or Miku, I would have been very happy with either pick, honestly. I think I'm pretty good on both.
Okay.
But the thing with Yotsuba is that she was such like an afterthought to me throughout this entire show that I had never even considered the possibility of him being like, her, that's the one. Because they really haven't had a lot of... I mean, maybe they have, and I just didn't feel it was that important.
There was a lot of, like, scheming and stuff they had in mind.
I guess they, like worked together to, like, get all the Quints to, like, work and stuff, and get all the Quints to study.
He trusted her and relied on her. And
that's true.
It relates to the line where he said, like, you bring me peace. And I'm like, okay, that's a very powerful message right there, because that's very true. You know, the person you love should theoretically bring you peace. So I'm like, okay, show, you're starting to win me back here. Well, I should say movie. At this point, you're starting to win me back here.
I think
we're a little too far into the fucking movie for this, but still.
I think by the end, I was like, okay, I get it. And it kind of makes sense to me by the end. And like, that swing set scene and stuff. And like, he actually, like, first time I've seen Futaro smile in like the whole show, essentially.
Yes.
And he like is joyous as like a kid, and like they spend time together. But I never really got that romantic energy from them that I did from the others. There was never really that tension. It was just kind of like which maybe is why, because it was like you actually care for me in that way. And, and I just thought it was like a weird pick. I didn't have, because usually like in these instances, I expected that I would be like, yeah, or like, ah. But my reaction to this was just kind of like, oh.
Just like, really?
Okay. It wasn't a very exciting pick.
No.
I'm happy that it was. I would have picked Yotsuba over Itsuki, but at the same time, like, it just didn't really do anything for me emotionally to hear him. I mean, the lines that he delivered afterwards and all that, I was like, okay. And by the end, I as I said, I could kind of see it.
To your point, I could have used some more actual moments of Futaro realizing he actually does care for these girls.
Right.
The thing is, like, from season 2 to the movie, it seems like they kind of glimpsed over him actually falling for the girls in any way.
Yeah, it was weird because from season 2 to the movie, because I feel like at the end of season 2, he's like, oh, what do I do? And then at the beginning of the movie, he's like, all right, time to pick one. And I'm like, okay. Because the thing is, it feels like there's a disconnect.
With a 2 hour and 10 minute runtime, you should be able to establish this better.
Yes, you should be able to.
They picked all the dumb fucking things to make focus on.
Right, they did. And it was like, do you want him to pick somebody in this movie? Or like, when's that going to happen? Like, what's the deal? They gave us a deadline, which I could appreciate. But at the same time, that whole scene, honestly, wow. Of them all being in the school together in different classrooms, and Futaro walks into the one that he wants to be in, for what he wants to be with, it was actually quite heartbreaking. I was like, seeing all my faves cry, I was like, no. Like when I think like Miku opened the door in like Nino's room, and she was like,
yes,
it wasn't me. and it's not you either. And I was like,
And they hugged and cried.
No.
Yeah, that was great. I love that
I
scene.
was so sad. And like Ichiko was sad, and I was like, obviously it wasn't gonna be you. And and then Itsuki was kind of like the most whatever about it. I feel like she was just like, oh, okay.
Well, Itsuki also felt the most whatever about Futaro in general.
Yeah, she never felt like a contender to me either. And
No.
I put her in the same box that I put Yotsuba in, that like there was never that like spark of romantic tension between them. So I just assumed that neither of them would. I thought that maybe they would give it to Itsuki because of the whole like
Poster girl thing.
poster girl, first one he met as in high school and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, they went with Yotsuba, which was, I mean, I like Yotsuba.
A pick.
It was fine. It was very in the middle.
Yeah.
Didn't ruffle a lot of feathers in either direction.
This movie kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit.
It was just too fucking long. It was just so long. And by the time it
was
ended,
long, and it really frustrated me because I'm going to call this film a disappointment, if anything.
Oh, really? Wow.
Because it wasn't, I mean, compared to like the bar that seasons 1 and 2 set, this was a drop off in quality. This was, it was an unfocused mess. The film looked better than its counterparts on television, definitely. Mm-hmm. There were some cool moments in there. Sound design, everything like that. And, production-wise, this movie was very well made.
Yeah, yeah.
But just the elements they picked just annoyed me. This film legitimately annoyed me.
Maybe I wouldn't go that far for myself. Like I didn't think I was ever annoyed. I was just kind of the whole time being like, let's get to it, guys. Like, just that's why I'm here. That's why we're all here.
And that's actually exactly why I was annoyed.
We want to know.
Fucking do something.
Do it. Do the thing. And then they did the thing, and then they harped on it for half an hour for no reason.
Yes.
The last scene I think was very funny, and I liked it. With the end of them being like, all right, Futaro, it's time for the final game. And they're all dressed in bridal gowns, and they all look the same.
Again,
and he has to
that
differentiate
scene was
them.
definitely charming, but by the time it came, I'm like, I'm happy, but not at an hour and 58 minutes into this fucking mess.
It just came too late. But it was a fun scene, and I was like, oh, hey, nice. He finally knows how to differentiate them. That's great. And then
it shows his growth. So
Yeah.
and that scene in the manga was really good too. I loved it in the manga when I read it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was just a mess.
Yes,
but
it was
thing.
it was kind of a narrative mess.
A narrative mess.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can necessarily call it bad. But I'll say this: I was way closer to calling it bad than I thought I would be.
Wow.
The length here really got me, and they weren't introducing me to any characters because I already knew them already.
Sure.
But they didn't really add much dimension either.
Yeah.
It was kind of, unfortunately, they were hammering home too many of the same points for me.
Right.
So it was way more repetitive than it should have been. And with a 2 hour and 10-minute runtime, you got to advance the story a little bit.
Right.
And I just wasn't invested enough. But the payoff was great. I'm so glad I saw the end of it. Because, I read the manga. I clearly cared. Gonna say not bad here. But I don't know if that's gonna maintain my...
Yeah.
If that's gonna maintain. Who
Sure.
knows? But at this moment, at the time of recording, in 2023... I'm gonna say not bad, and it feels really cool to close the book on this series.
Yeah, it does. I think that maybe that's the reason that maybe I'm a little more positive on it than you are. I don't.
You are.
I don't
I
think
can
it's
tell.
like. I didn't think it was bad at all. Really, it was just, as we've spoken about, it's just so disjointed and like so many weird
Yes.
things happening, and
Yes.
so many things that I'm like, it's cool that I know this, but I didn't need to. Like, just get to
Yes.
the point, get to the plot
Right.
that we all want to see. And they just took too long to get there.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm happy that this series got a resolution. I'm happy that I feel resolved in my endless need to finish the plot. Very happy that I now know who he ended up with at the end, and that they're living happily ever after, and that he's going on a honeymoon with all 5 of them. Very funny, very good. The movie, as we said, not the best. I don't really get the really good reviews. I think like if I was an out of 5 score, I'd probably give this like a 2.5 or a 3. Very middle of the road, but it delivered. It delivered on what I wanted.
2.5 is fair.
It delivered on what I wanted but it just did it very stupidly.
Yeah, it was sloppy. It was definitely sloppy
Very
execution.
sloppy. Yeah, very, very sloppy. But hey, sometimes the sloppy seconds are just all right.
Sometimes it's all you need, boys. I think I have to take another poo.
Yeah, well, this was Sloppy Thirds. Quintessential Quintuplets, the third part, the movie. We did it. We watched all of it. And, I guess we can reference this at any time in our future episodes.
And if you guys disagree with us, let us know. I will call you a YOTSUBA fanboy, and the conversation will end.
Who was your pick? Was anybody? I want to know. If anybody is listening right now and YOTSUBA was your pick, YOTSUBA was like, that's the one, that's the fave, let us know, because I'm genuinely confused as to how that could have been the front runner this whole time. Besides the story about them, know each other when they were kids. But either way, let's go piss. Bye, guys.
It's bad.
Wow, oh my god, what a rousing podcast of anime conversation. Am I right, my compares? Am I right, my weebdom? Anywho, you can send us a message if you want. Did you like this podcast? Did you hate this podcast? Do you want to kill me? Do you want to drench me in Calaxosaur blood and watch me drink it? That's fine. Just send us an email at badanimepod@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram at badanimepod, all one word. You can also find us on YouTube as Bad Anime, and you can leave a comment on whatever video you want to leave a comment on. We'll read them all anyways. We don't care. I love you. Kiss, kiss.
Simple Equations Podcast Network.